Okay, hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this webinar tonight. I'm just waiting for some people to log on and we'll get started probably in the next few minutes. So welcome, everyone. I see there's quite a few people logging on. Welcome, Alan, Valley. I see that everyone's logging on at the moment. Yvonne, so many people just logging on right now. So I won't take long and I'll get started straight away. So if everyone can hear me, if you can hear the sound nice and clearly, can you just type in the chat box? It should be on your left-hand side or possibly on the right for some of you. If you can just type in the chat box that you can hear the audio loud and clear. Okay, welcome Sharon, Rose, nice to see you on. Derek, Sonia, so many people coming on, a few people logged on by phone as well. Is I'm just going to wait probably 20 seconds or so and then I'll just get started straight away. And I expect this whole thing to take maybe 30 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes, just to give those of you that have never seen this before a real understanding of this opportunity and this business. Also, just to let you know, I'm recording this as well. So if anybody needs to get access to the recording later on, just to refresh your memory, then yeah, of course that will be available as well. Okay, so let's get started. You know, I'm really excited to be speaking to every one of you tonight for many reasons. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm not going to spend too much time because simply it's not about me tonight. It's about every single person on this webinar. And you've obviously taken this time tonight, Sunday night, 9 o'clock, to come on this webinar. So it's really appreciated. So first of all, my background, my name is Bearden Ogunyemi. My background has been financial services for a number of years. Best part of 17 or 18 years. I was in financial services, investments, commercial finance, and I do have a substantial knowledge on sort of trading, so trading the markets like forex trading, and I'm also involved in that. So in terms of cryptocurrency, I have some knowledge of it, but none of that really matters tonight because tonight, really, what I want to do is I want to really give you an understanding of this particular opportunity so that you could explain it to basically anybody. So if I explained this to my grandmother or my mother or basically my 6-year-old daughter, she should be able to have a basic understanding. And that's what I intend to do tonight, to give you an understanding so that for many of you that haven't seen this yet, it might enable you to make a decision and whether that's to get involved or not to get involved. So I hope that makes sense. Now, in terms of how long I've been involved in this particular opportunity, this opportunity is really young. It's just hit 2 years old at the moment, and I got involved with a good friend of mine, Stephen McCauley. I'm not sure if he's on the call tonight. If he is, I'm sure he'll make himself known in the chat box. However, we looked at this opportunity and got involved way back in April, so it's not been that long. However, sometimes something comes along that makes a real difference in the marketplace. And this is one of these opportunities where there's a revolution taking place right now. There's something in the industry, in the financial industry, that's going to impact every single one of us. And I'm sure you agree when you see some of this that the way we're going to be paying for things in the future is changing. Now, if you know that right now and you can be in the right place at the right time with the right people and the right opportunity, then of course you can profit from that. So in order to get a full understanding of what this thing is, what this thing called cryptocurrency is, I want you to think of cryptocurrency simply as digital currency. And of course, sometimes it's not the most exciting thing, but I want to make this, a little bit interactive as well, so that if you've got any questions at the end, I hope to cover those questions as well. So first of all, let's move on. The way we started trading with currency or the system that we used initially was a barter system. So basically, people exchange goods for services. And that was fine, and that worked pretty well. And then, of course, what happened is gold was discovered. And I want you to think of the value of gold. How is the value of gold sustained? It's simply sustained simply by a thing called supply and demand. It's as simple as that. If there's more demand, then there has to be somebody to supply that gold, and that's the way the value is created. So what happened was initially gold was discovered, and people started trading in gold. However, the middlemen came in and said, you know, give us your gold and we'll give you this thing called paper tokens. That's money today. Now, the problem with that, of course, is that in the 1970s, the US government came in and said, you know what? Money is no longer backed by gold. So immediately something happened that changed the whole industry in terms of it gave the ability for the banks now to print money whenever they needed more money. It gave the ability for a government to borrow money and get into debt. And that created an issue in terms of currency at the moment. That's why we see an issue with the dollar. We see an issue with the euro. We see an issue with the pound right now. And look what happened with Brexit. So basically, moving on from that, the banks are the middlemen. And of course, if you go to the bank today and say, you know, I'd like to have my gold back, that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It's not backed by anything whatsoever. So a lot of the time when we think, okay, we've got £100, £100 6 months ago isn't worth £100 today. It's completely changed. But in our mind, it's always £100 simply because it says, you know, when we count it up, it's 10 times 10, which is 100. So I want you to think about that. And that's all changing. Now, what is digital currency? Digital currency is really, really simple. If you imagine, especially cryptocurrency, if you imagine taking a £20 note, take the serial number off that, store that in your phone or on a computer somewhere, and just throw away the note. You don't need the paper anymore. You're simply trading with that digital code. It's digitally coded, and you're trading with that, and it's as simple as that. Then, of course, what happened is we moved on to a card system. As you can see, many people back then says, I don't really like Visa cards, debit cards. Today, nearly everyone's got a Visa, credit, or debit card. You know, it's simply difficult not to have one. And then from then on, we've moved on to PayPal, Apple Pay, contactless, and all sorts of digital systems. And if you go back 10 or 15 years ago, and many people didn't even have a PayPal account. So back then, but now, today, nearly everyone has a PayPal account. Then the next thing that's happening, the next financial revolution that's taking place is digital currency, which is cryptocurrency. Why? If you look at the Royal Bank of Scotland, HSBC, all the major banks in the industry are all looking at this thing called cryptocurrency, and they're all developing a thing called the blockchain. And that's simply the future. So moving on from that. Now, what's the issue with currency today? Well, the issue with currency today is simple. As I said, the banks, if they need more money, they print money. That affects inflation. So that's all changing. There's no doubt about that. It's actually changing. Now, how does it actually work? What's the solution, and why is cryptocurrency the solution? Well, one of the reasons it's the solution is simply because it's governed by supply and demand. So it doesn't need the backing of the banks to actually function. It's as finite as gold and silver. Now, the first pioneers was a company called Bitcoin. And I don't know how many people in here have actually heard of a company called Bitcoin. If you've heard of a company called Bitcoin, it'll be interesting. If you can just type in the chat box, just put a yes or a no, just so I get an idea of how many people are actually aware of a company called Bitcoin. It was established, it started in around about 2008, 2009. And they created this, yeah, okay, so quite a few people have heard of Bitcoin. So, and they created this revolutionary technology called blockchain technology, and the blockchain is simply the audit trail of transactions. So it's a ledger of all the transactions that take place on a digital system. And how's that going to impact the world? How's it going to change the world? Well, if you look at what happened with this company called Bitcoin, the story of Bitcoin when it first came out, first of all, what happened is nobody really paid attention to Bitcoin. It was this so-called digital currency. Most people looked at it and thought, you know, this is a complete scam. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's never going to work. It's not worth anything. I mean, I myself missed out. I was in financial services. I missed out on Bitcoin, chatted to a few clients about it and thought, you know, it's a good idea. It wasn't really a priority. I went back to the office that morning, started writing a check for £1,000 and then got distracted with a phone call and really never went back to it. And so I missed out because I didn't take time to educate myself. It wasn't that important. But it started off at 10 cents. And back then, when it started off at 10 cents, people thought it's not really going to do anything. Some people took the risk and decided to put some money in. And then it started rising gradually to $35. Still, not a lot of people paid attention. And then, of course, what happened is the Asia market started paying attention to it. People started trading in it. And all of a sudden, it jumped to over $1,000 and peaked at $1,200 in 2013. So can you imagine coming in at 10 cents and buying even £100 worth of Bitcoin back then, just £100? Now you can see here that it created many, many millionaires. You can see here some of the brothers, 400 million, 100 million, 52 million. And of course, these guys put probably a reasonable amount of money into to attain that figure. However, let's look at somebody, this example here, this guy who put in $27. He bought $27 of Bitcoin 2008. And of course, what happened, the reason why so many people cashed in is simply because in 2013, it was all over the news. So you can imagine all of a sudden this thing's all over the news. Bitcoin's reached $1,300, nearly $1,300. And of course, what do people do? They start selling at that point. They start to sell their Bitcoin. So this guy bought $27 worth, and can you imagine he cashed in for over $886,000. Bought himself a lovely apartment in Oslo, where he's from. So it's amazing. There's so many stories of this happening. It will actually frighten you. In fact, and I don't know if he's on this call. I don't know, one of the guys in the team called Gil. I'm not sure if he's on this call, but if he is, if you can put a yes on the in the chat box. He told me a fantastic story of when he was at uni. He went to uni in Glasgow, and he met a guy, a friend of his, who was a Chinese chap, a friend of his called, I think it was, I'm not sure, I think I always get the name wrong, it's either Felix or Raymond. But anyway, I think it was Felix, and this chap at the time pointed out to him, this Bitcoin thing, why don't we buy some Bitcoin? And he looked at it and thought, you know what? No, it doesn't, it just looks like one big scam. So he didn't do anything. The chap actually bought £5,000 worth, and he moved to London and lives in Australia today. Can anyone just hazard a guess how much he made from his £5,000 of Bitcoin that he bought? Just type a figure in, any figure that comes to mind. Any figure at all. It doesn't have to be, don't get the calculator out. Just type a figure in of how much he did it around about I think it was around about 2008 or maybe beginning of 2009. So just hazard a guess. So Sonia's saying 200 million. Anyone else? 200, any advances on that? 5 million from Sharon. Okay, so there's some people on this call that have heard this story before. Oh wow, so yeah, okay, so Sonia, interesting. So Sonia, so Gil's is your brother-in-law. Fantastic, yeah, fantastic. Oh, so we have Ravi on the call as well. So many people on the call. Just fantastic to have you on. Now, the actual figure, I don't know if Gil's on this, Derek says 50 million. Wow, these figures are just amazing. The actual figure he made was 7.2 million. Can you imagine? Or Leslie came in with 7 million there. Fantastic. 7.2 million. But think about that. This chap was at uni at the time. He was still studying. And he decided to take a risk. All he did was take a risk, probably educated himself a bit and thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. He put £5,000 in and he just left it. And of course, 2013, amazing 7.2 million. So the most important thing and the most important message that we can take from that is whether you choose to get involved in this particular company, which is Onelife and Onecoin, or whether you choose to get involved in another company, cryptocurrency is definitely going to change the way we pay for things. And so the time to look at it is right now, because there's a real opportunity. So the real thing is, what we've got to ask ourselves is, only the biggest and the best will survive in this industry. There's no doubt about that. And we already know, if I told you right now, many of you won't know this, there's over 600 cryptocurrencies on the market. And most people have only heard of Bitcoin. Some people in Scotland, for example, might have heard of a company called Scotcoin, and there's other coins as well. But most people haven't heard of many of these companies like Litecoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum. There's so many of them on the market, and yet many people are making money from these coins every single day simply by buying and selling them. And remember, they're intangible, so it's not something tangible. It's like gold's tangible, so you can buy and sell gold, but you can also trade in gold. So imagine these people are traders, professional traders, retail traders, are buying this cryptocurrency and selling them. So waiting till the value goes up and then just selling them. And most of these cryptocurrencies aren't actually usable at the moment. So things like Ethereum, a fantastic coin, it's not usable. You can buy it, you can wait, you can profit from it. You can't use it. You can't walk into a shop and say, do you accept this coin? Because most aren't accepted. The only one that's acceptable in a lot of locations is Bitcoin. That's the only one right now. Now, the difference with Onecoin compared to the rest of them is one of the things we're going for is the brand. The brand's being created right now. It's an amazing job of doing that. Over 2.5 million members worldwide, so it's growing really, really fast. And that's only 2 years old. But also usability within the coin. We've just launched a merchant program right now to attract hotels, shops, restaurants, all sorts of merchants to the program. And we're going for usability of this coin. So it's one of the coins that's going for usability. So you're going to be able to use this coin. So if you own the coin, then of course you'll be able to spend it. And that's the biggest drive that's going on right now. And I'll speak about that more. So we're driving to be the number one cryptocurrency in the world. And there's many, many ways we're going to do that. First of all, if you're going to get involved in this, you want to know a little bit of information, of course, about who's the founder behind this, who's the creator, who drives the company forward. There's many, many fantastic things about the creator. First and foremost, for all the guys that are on here, she's a woman, which is fantastic because women make really, really great leaders. So her name's Dr. Ruja Ignatova. She's got a PhD in law from the University of Oxford. She's also got a master's degree in economics from the University of Constance. So she's an academic. She's been involved in the finance and investment industry, in particular in the cryptocurrency industry. She was a former associate partner with a company called McKinsey & Company, the #1 global management consultancy company in the world. She's written 2 books in cryptocurrency, translated into German, English, and Chinese. And she's also been featured in various different magazines. Also, she was recently invited to be a keynote speaker. If most of you have heard of a company called The Economist, she was the keynote speaker at the 4th European EU Summit. So this is somebody with credibility. This is somebody that is an academic and knows all about the marketplace and knows really how to tackle the things, and knows she's got a real vision and a real passion for taking this out to the world. And of course, on top of that, they've got a fantastic marketing team. And one of the ways they're marketing this is why they're growing so fast today. So let's look at the value of the coin, because those of you that are here today, there's a number of reasons. I mean, I don't know, somebody's invited you onto this webinar, and they've probably told you a number of things. Probably told you very little, actually, just said you need to see this webinar. But let's look at, okay, we're talking about Onecoin. What can this coin do for you right now? What difference can it make to your life? And I want you to think about this. The value of this coin when they first started mining the coin, was 50 cents. And we've seen a gradual increase in the coin. The coin is not declined at all. It's not gone down. The reason being because of supply and demand, and it's a centralized model right now. So that means it's not on a public exchange. With 2.5 million members, they expect to go on a public exchange in 2018, beginning of 2018. And if you look at the coin, it's consistently gone up and to 6.25, and today the coin value is sitting at 6.95, €6.95. Prediction by the end of this year was 15 plus euros, and of course we're in November just now. This coin has not gone up since August, so that's September, October, November. So we are expecting the coin to go up at any time, within the next few weeks. I don't know when it will be, but we're expecting the coin to increase, and I don't know what it will jump up to because it's not gone up. If you look at the previous slide, if I just jump back to that, you'll see that it did consistently go up, probably every month or every other month, and obviously it hasn't. And I know there's been a lot of members joining. There's been a lot of changes on the platform, so it's really moving forward nicely. So can you imagine if you came in today at 6.95 euros? When I got involved, the coin value was 5.25 euros, and let's say it goes up to even 10 euros. And that's still a reasonable amount. If it goes up to 15 plus euros, then that's amazing. So we don't know where it's going to go, but we are expecting the coin to increase. Okay, so let me just talk about before I let you see the next slide. I want to share a number of facts with you, and these facts that you can check. You can check these facts yourself, because a lot of the time when you're given pure facts, then you need to look at the facts and make a decision. And one of the reasons many people are getting involved with this company at the moment is because they know what's happening in the future. They also know that there's so many people within the industry, leaders within the industry, that are joining this company. And there's many people on the sidelines that have been watching Onecoin, they've been watching Onelife, and they've seen the development over the last 6 months. I mean, when I joined around about April, 6 or 7 months ago, the company has gone from the changes that have happened since then have been amazing, and many members that are on tonight will be able to testify for that. Every single thing this company has said they'll do, well, people within the industry said that's not possible, you can't do that. They've gone ahead and they've delivered on it. They've delivered on every single promise. So let's look at why. Why should you look at Onelife right now? Well, it's created over 300 millionaires in the first 12 months. Now, there's no company that has done that. If you go back through history and you look at any particular company in this type of opportunity, there's no company that's done that in the first 12 months, created over 300 millionaires. Now, that might not be important to everyone. It depends what your reason would be for getting involved with this company. 30,000 members earning 6 figures. The sales, the revenue, for example, is 125 million a week in sales. That's 500 million a month. That's a substantial amount. We've got over 2.5 million members in over 190 countries. Again, just over 2 years old. It started September 2014. You won't be the first today if you decide to get involved, because social proof's really important. We have local meetings running all up and down the country. I'm in Glasgow, so there's meetings we run in Glasgow. We have events. There's also meetings in so many different locations around the world as well. But I want you to think about this. There's 4,000 people coming on board every single day getting involved with this company. And the company, in the first 12 months, it hit over $1 billion in revenue. And 2 months later, it hit over 2.2 billion. So that's a substantial amount. To give you an indication, Microsoft, most people have heard of Microsoft, yeah? I take it, or everyone's heard of Microsoft. 9 years they took to reach $1 billion in revenue. Apple, company like Apple, took 7 years. And one of the fastest companies that did it was a company called Groupon, the sort of discount marketing company. They took 2 years and 7 months. It talks about 4.3 billion market share. That's just the coin value times the number of people, the number of shares they've got in the market. But let's talk in terms of where do you, if I had to say to people on this webinar, I want you to hazard a guess. Now, if I said to you, this company, Onelife, right now is one of the fastest growing companies right now on the planet, right? Not cryptocurrency companies, because in terms of cryptocurrency companies, it's grown so fast. But in terms of fastest growing companies on the planet right now, if I said to you, I want you to hazard a guess, what do you think the revenue is? The company's just over 2 years old. And what do you think the revenue is to date? They did $1 billion in 12 months, 2.2, 2 months later. What do you think the revenue is to date right now? So just hazard a guess, just use the chat box again, just to type a figure in. Just hazard a guess what you think the revenue is to date. So that's just September 2014. We're now November 2016. So what's that? That's 2 years and 2 months. So anybody? Okay, so we have some people. Yeah, so we've got 4 billion, 3 billion, 5 billion, 2 billion. Yeah, so 3.5 billion. Okay. So all these figures are really good, and you're pretty close. I noticed a couple of people said so there's 2 billion there. We've got 3 billion, 2 billion. Okay, so yeah, so in the first 12 months it hit $1 billion. 2 months later it hit 2.2 billion. But to date, the revenue for this company is over 5 billion. 5 billion. Now, if you do some research and check how many companies in 2 years have achieved a revenue of 5 billion, there's not many. There's not many at all. That's industry. No matter which type of company you look at, not many of them. So that's again a substantial amount, and it just shows you the growth of the company. Now, I'm not disputing the company as a young company, but they're doing things right, because most companies, sometimes companies, especially if they're young, they get things wrong. This company's growing so fast at the moment. There's so many people joining, so many new members, and it seems to be delivering on everything it said. So the question right now is, okay, that's all fine, but why do we even need cryptocurrency? Why? And one of the reasons that Dr. Ruja says is simply to reach a lot of the unbanked world. There's 2 billion people unbanked. They have no facilities that we've got here in the UK. And a lot of these people are paying substantial fees. The other reason is substantial fees in terms of when you're transferring money. Now, with cryptocurrency, to transfer money to somebody, it's instant. So on the platform right now, if I transfer money to any of the members, and many of the members will testify to this, it's instant. I can transfer money instantly. It's just like sending an email and it'll be received instantly, and it costs nothing. There's no fees whatsoever. And if there's going to be any commercial fees, it'll be very cheap, a lot cheaper than transferring through Western Union or even through the bank. So Richard Branson, for example, recently bought one of his aircraft, 600 million, using digital currency, and he saved over 15 million in fees. So there's substantial amounts to be saved. 2 billion people, that's about 40% of the world unbanked. So reaching these people, the banks, for example, banks are being phased out. Eventually, banks are going to have to take a different kind of business model anyway, because a lot of people nowadays don't trust the banks as much as they did in the past. And on top of that, banks will not go to these areas anyway, because simply there's no infrastructure, there's no money for them. So that's one of the reasons. But one of the other reasons that I like to speak about is preservation of wealth. And that's what I spoke about in the beginning. If you've got savings right now, let's say somebody's got, say, 10,000, 100,000, 500,000 of savings. I mean, I don't know, would you think it would be sensible to have that in the bank? Because if you have 100,000 in the bank and you deposit that in the bank, people nowadays think, well, is it really safe? Is it safe in the bank? Because a guy walks in 2 hours later and is looking for 100,000 loan to buy a commercial premises or buy a shop, and your money is gone completely. So they use that money. So basically, it's not safe, and it doesn't preserve your wealth either, because if you bought a car, say you decide to buy a car today, well, 2 years down the line, that car is not going to cost the same amount. So today, let's say you spent 30,000 on a car. 2 years down the line, the cost of that car might be 33,000, 34,000. So you've got to keep pace with inflation. So preservation of wealth is really important. And that's why in times of things like recessions and stuff like that, that's why things like gold do really well, because people prefer to keep their wealth in something that's tangible, or something like gold, where it's driven by supply and demand. So how does it all work? Just to summarize this, well, the way it works at the moment, it's all about our actual product is education. It's about educating yourself. Remember, I said I missed out because I didn't educate myself about Bitcoin. So it's about educating yourself about cryptocurrency so that you're prepared. But at the same time, what if you can educate yourself and at the same time earn as well? So that would be really interesting. So yeah, you're educating yourself in terms of your education package, but that's not all. With your education package comes free tokens, and those free tokens will be mined for the cryptocurrency Onecoin. And here's how it works. So there's various different packages to suit different budgets, because the two things that you've got to consider when you're looking at this, and anything and most things in life, is what's your affordability and what's your risk, and depending on what that is, then it depends what package, or it depends how you move forward. So we have various different packages to suit different budgets, and I'll explain what every one of these are. If I take this example, for example, a tycoon is 5,500 euros. And you see this number here, which is 1. So the first few packages, you've got number 1 in red here. This basically means that what's going to happen is you have a thing called a split process. And when the split happens, the number of tokens you have will double. So for example, let's take this one here. It says that this package here, the Tycoon, has 2 splits. And the split happens usually it used to be every 60 days. It's been quicker lately. So let's say up to 60 days. It takes up to 60 days for a split to happen. When the split happens, everybody across the board, it happens at the same time, and your tokens will double. Now remember, your tokens are going to be exchanged for the cryptocurrency Onecoin. So it means the more tokens you've got, then the more coins you'll have. Now, of course, you don't need to wait for the split. As soon as you receive these tokens, you can, of course, submit these to the mining pool. And the mining pool is basically the algorithmic calculation to calculate each coin. So it's a process, it's an algorithmic calculation done by a server and a computer to calculate each coin. So when we talk about mining for gold, obviously you're using a shovel to mine for gold, to look for gold. When you're talking about mining for cryptocurrency, it's just an algorithmic calculation to calculate each coin. And obviously the more people that are involved, then the harder it is to do. So here's how it works. Here's the summary. You come on board, you decide which education package you want. And of course you can educate yourself at your own through your own pace. Basically you have a combination of videos, PDFs, question and answers, and it's up to degree level in terms of educating yourself. And with that, you get free tokens. Now, obviously, the value is obviously in the coins. So you get these tokens which are free. Simply wait for the splits, or if you want, you can send it straight to the mining pool. It's up to you. It just means that you'll have less tokens, which means you'll have less coins. If you wait for the splits to happen, each split will take up to 60 days. You wait for, let's say you've got 2 splits, you wait for the first 60 days, up to 60 days, the split happens, your tokens double. You wait for the next 60 days or so, your tokens double. Then you submit them into the mining pool, and as you can see here, this number 70, this is the difficulty level, the mining difficulty. What that means is for every 70 tokens, you get 1 coin. You don't really need to work that out. It's all worked out for you. It just basically means that this figure will go up. As more and more people come in, the calculation gets more and more difficult, which means this figure rises. And hopefully we're looking for a rise in the coin. Now, once you have your coins, what can you do? You can access your coins, you can sell your coins, and you can access your coins using the MasterCard, or you can choose to keep your coins until we go into a public exchange. There's so many different, there's about three or four different options you've got, and I'll cover them in a second. Let's look at an actual example. So we have here, everyone in the UK needs what you call a starter package. It's 110 euros. And then you need, let's say you add on your package, but in this example, it's a Tycoon. Now that starter package will give you 1 split. The Tycoon gives you 2 splits, which means you get 3 splits in total. So let's look at that example. 5,500, 5 levels of education are opened up. You go through that in your leisure, and then you get your 60,000 tokens. So you start with 60,000 tokens on this package. You wait for your first split, 120,000 tokens. If you want, you can send it to the mining pool. It's up to you. Or you wait for your second split, 240. If you want, you can send it to the mining pool, or you wait. You know, I would recommend you wait for all your splits. There's also a promotion on at the moment, and I'll cover that later on. So let's say you wait for all your splits. You end up with 480,000 tokens. What does that mean? That will give you 6,857 coins. So the 2 figures that are really, really important here is the level of affordability, or the level that you put in, the actual amount that you put in, so 5,500, and how many coins that will give you, because all the value is in the coin. That's where all the value is. So if you imagine just now 6,157 coins at the current value today, how much would that be worth? Well, I'll give you an example here. At 695, it's worth 47,656. You know, at 10 euros per coin, it's worth 68,570, and at 15 euros a coin, it's worth 102,855. Now, so we can only really base it on 695 euros at the moment, because I don't know where the coin's going to go. I mean, the prediction could be 15 plus euros. It might go to 10. It should rise in the next few weeks. However, even this figure here, some people, when they look at these figures, they think, wow, that's too good to be true. But then you just look at Bitcoin. People spent a lot less than this on Bitcoin and made a lot more. So what if, the question is to ask yourself, what if this is history repeating itself? Because we know that today there's many people making money from cryptocurrencies around the world simply by trading, simply by buying and selling. So even if you weren't buying and selling, what if you just took this, you had this, you kept it until the value went up, and then you decided to sell them, or alternatively, if they become usable, you use them, or you just wait until we hit a public exchange, in which time you might see the value rise a lot more. So let's look at all the packages just to give you a summary. And as you can see here, there's so many different packages. We have packages ranging from a sort of 550 euros all the way up to, we have a package called the Ultimate Package, believe it or not, which is 188,000 euros. Can you imagine? 188,000 euros. And that package was brought out recently over the last month or so. And there's people buying that package, different people are buying different packages depending on the budget. But many people are recognizing the importance of cryptocurrency, and how being in the right place at the right time can really have an impact. So, Ravi is saying he's a tycoon. Ravi came in probably about a few months ago, and I know he's got packages for his family as well. So, and he's in Canada as well. So amazing. So fantastic. Not that there's anything wrong with Canada. So if we look at these packages here, you can see just take any one of them, and what you want to look at is you look at the the actual cost of the package, which is one thing. It will open up different levels of education. You can see, of course, how many tokens you get, but I would suggest that, I can provide these slides to anyone that wants to have a look through them. And if you need more detail, the most important thing is really looking at how many coins you end up with. So here's your package, for example, the Tycoon, 5,500, and you end up with today's difficulty, will end up with 6,857 coins. What does that mean in today's value? Today's value, the potential asset value is 47,656. Now you can look, we've got higher packages and we've got lower packages as well. And, it's important just deciding what your budget is and assessing how much what that's going to do and how much it's going to give you. And it also depends why you would be getting involved as well. So that's in terms of the packages. We also have some promotional packages as well. Many people get involved in the Tycoon Plus package, which is a little bit more than the Tycoon. Now, the feature of this package is it has a thing called auto mining. Basically, what that means, to summarize it, is okay, one, you'll get more tokens. So instead of 60,000, you'll get 81,818. But that's not the most important feature. The most important feature, it has the same number of splits, 3 splits for the starter. The most important feature is that the difficulty, the mining difficulty, is 1 below the current difficulty level, and it will not change. It's completely fixed. It has auto mining, which means in terms of all the rest of the packages from the Tycoon down and the Tycoon as well, the mining difficulty will increase as we move forward, as more people mine the coin. This one will not increase, it will remain at 69. So in 2 years' time, if the mining difficulty is 100 and 120, this package will still remain 69. So that's the main feature of this packages, and we have various other packages as well. We have combo packages, like some families take various different packages, that the combined packages, for example, the Tycoon with the premium, or the Tycoon, the premium, and the infinity package. So it all depends on what your budget is, but again, that's something I can go into more detail. Okay, so what happens once you've got the coins? Because remember I said the value is in the coins. So first of all, you get on board, you get involved, you get your free tokens, and you wait for your splits if you want. Once you've got your splits have happened, and then you submit it to the mining pool, and that takes on average about 7 to 14 days to receive the coins with the new blockchain. We have a new blockchain. It takes about 7 to 14 days. Once you've got the coins have been mined, what can you do? You've got 3 options. You can sell your coins at the current market value, subject to the daily restrictions on the system. So at the moment, somebody that's got a Tycoon, for example, they can sell up to €60 a day if they're selling their coins. And you can just keep on selling the coins up until, whenever you want, until you've sold all your coins. You can sell a few coins, take your initial expenditure out, so you're completely, there's no risk whatsoever anymore. Or you can hold on to all your coins until we hit a public exchange. Now, once we hit a public exchange, they're talking about potential value could be around about the vision. Dr. Ruja's vision in the next 2 years is €25 for the coin. Now, I'm sure everyone will agree with me right now that if this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, this is potentially looking at the value of the coin over a period. I would recommend maybe a year to 2 years, because obviously if somebody comes in and they do a Tycoon, and 2 months later they decide to sell their coins and instantly get €47,500, I'm sure everyone on this platform would agree that that's not possible. I mean, that really is too good to be true, and that would be the definition of a Ponzi scheme. So obviously that's not possible. However, many people have come on board, started at 50 cents, and they've sold out many of their coins, taken the initial expenditure back, and they're quite happy with what they've achieved so far. I've not sold any of my coins yet because I choose not to sell them. I've got over 20,000 coins on the system, and I'm just building more and more coins. So everybody's different. Okay, so what's the advantage right now? The advantage right now is we're in phase 1. This company is young. They've got a real vision and a real passion. And just like Facebook, many of you remember when Facebook first started, if you got involved in Facebook, if you were initially one of the pioneers in Facebook, and you simply put in a figure of say £1,000 when they were looking for that initial funding, you would be a billionaire today. Now, how many of you on this platform still use MySpace? Anybody at all? Does anyone remember MySpace? There was Bebo as well in MySpace. What happened to them? Completely gone, finished. They don't exist. MySpace doesn't. I don't even know if it still exists, but nobody uses MySpace anymore because Facebook came along and they created something that people wanted. It's like using, I don't know if many people on here still use a PC, like a Windows-based PC. And Windows is a great platform, but many people today, many of the younger generation today, they don't want PCs anymore. You speak to them and they want a Mac. Even my 10-year-old, 11-year-old, he wants a Mac. He says, I want a Mac. He's not asking for a Windows-based PC. So things move forward. Like today, if you look at the evolution of what happened with the mobile phones, way back, I think Nokia and Motorola were the market leaders. What happened to Nokia today in terms of mobile phones, or even Motorola? Most people today, it's either a Samsung or an iPhone. So it's the way things move forward. So Bitcoin, yeah, of course, they were the pioneers. They created this revolutionary system. They created the blockchain. They created all the infrastructure behind it. But there's other companies that are coming up looking at what they've done and says, you know what, we can take Bitcoin, what Bitcoin have done, we can use the same model, but you know what, we think we can do better. And the race will be won by the company that can create usability within the coin. Many of the other cryptocurrencies aren't even looking at usability. They're not interested. They're just allowing people to trade the coins. So my question to you is whether you want to become a pioneer or whether you want to become a user, because at the end of the day, this will happen anyway. It's going to happen, and it's going to take many people by surprise, because many people today haven't even heard of cryptocurrency. So I hope that gives you a really good basic understanding of the coin and the coin value. And for those of you that are interested in looking at this opportunity on that basis and just looking at the coin, then fantastic. What I'm going to do now is I'm only going to spend 10 minutes touching on the business side, because I know many people are involved in the business side of this, which can be very lucrative as well. So yeah, and as Ravi says, that Bitcoin only has a certain amount of coins, so it's something like 120 million coins, whereas in terms of one coin, we can mine so much more coins. We just released a new blockchain, and that new blockchain is something like 120 billion coins, because there needs to be enough coins to go around the world, and Bitcoin simply doesn't have enough coins. The other thing about Bitcoin, just to let you know, is within the first, I think it's 8 years they've been running, 8 or 9 years, they've got 250,000 members. This company, Onecoin, has come along out of nowhere, and it's got over 2.5 million members today, and it's continually growing. So for those of you that are interested in simply the coin, that gives you a basic understanding. I hope that's been educational. I'm just going to spend probably another 10 minutes or so to just explain the business side and explain how those of you that want to profit from that can really profit from this at the moment. The real momentum in terms of this hasn't really started. And one of the reasons that this company is growing so fast is because they use a referral marketing method, simply word of mouth. It's as simple as that, word of mouth. And many of you have heard of what we call network marketing. And I want you to set aside any sort of reservations you have right now, because I want to explain this properly, because many people, when they hear the word network marketing, they start to think of things like it's a pyramid scheme. They start to think of things like, oh, I need to bring so many people in, and they bring so many, and then everybody makes money off everybody else. I want you to set that aside, open up your mind right now, because I want to provide a basic understanding of this system. And what we've got to remember is there's many companies like Herbalife, companies like Amway, companies like ACA. These companies have been established for 40 plus years, and the size of this market, believe it or not, the network marketing industry right now is probably about 100. It's actually gone up. It's about 180 plus billion. It dwarfs any other market at all. The music industry, the movie industry, the video gaming industry, it dwarfs any other market. So it's one of the things that Bill Gates says, if I had to start all over again, I would choose network marketing. And network marketing, by the way, as we know it, it's almost like a franchise model, but you don't need to pay the big franchising fees. In other words, a franchising model, and if you follow the system, then you can be successful. So let's look at how it works. The name of the actual network itself is called Onelife. And how does it work? Well, if you, for example, are involved in the business side and you introduce somebody into the business, let's say they come in with a package. Could be a tycoon package, it could be one of the lower packages. You'll simply receive a bonus, a 10% direct commission. That's fairly standard, 10% direct commission, which in this example would be 550 €550 commission. Whether you introduce a friend, somebody you don't know, a family member, it could be anybody. But if you introduce that person direct, you get a direct sales commission of €550. And what I usually say to people at this stage, if you had to go and find people consistently every single day to make a direct sale, then it's difficult, it's hard, and all you're doing is just selling direct. That's all you're doing. It's consistent. You're trying to you become a salesperson, and network marketing isn't about becoming a salesperson. It's the complete opposite if it's done properly. So I'll explain that in a second, because there's other bonuses that come along with this. Now, in addition to that, this company, if you bring over 5,500 volume in the first 30 days, so that's simply in terms of it's 1 for 1, so 1 volume is equal to €1. So that means, for example, let's say, for example, you bring in a tycoon or enough people to make up a tycoon, then as soon as you hit that, they'll pay you an extra 10% in the first 30 days. So instead of 10%, they'll pay you 20% in the first 30 days. And the additional 10% that they pay will go to what we call your trading accounts. What happens, the commissions get paid, 60% gets paid into what we call a cash account, which you can draw on straight away, straight down to your bank account. You can take that money out. The other 40% goes into your trading account, of which you buy coins. So again, I'm going pretty fast here. I don't expect everybody to understand everything at the first time, but of course I'll take questions, and I'll also be able to hopefully answer your questions. And the more you're exposed to this, and the more you see this, the more you get a better understanding. Okay, so the second type of bonus, this is a fantastic bonus. This is what we call a network bonus. And this basically encourages you to help anybody that you introduce into the business to earn money if they want to be involved in the business. If they don't, then that's fine. But if they do, it encourages you to help them, regardless of whether you brought them in direct or if the person that you brought them in. It basically encourages you. Now, how does it work? Basically, what happens is if you introduce somebody, you can put them on your left or right. So you've got a left team and a right team. There's no other. We don't have these 5 levels and put somebody 5 levels, then 4 levels, then 3 levels. We don't have any of that. It's simply left and right. So you've only got 2 teams, a left team and a right team, and everybody falls below your left team or below your right team from you. So basically, let's say, for example, in your left team, in the week, let's say you have total volume of 30,000, and on your right, you've got total volume of 20,000. The company will simply pay you a network bonus of 10% on your weaker side, so the weaker volume, which in this example is your right, so that's on 20,000 is €2,000. And then, of course, what happens is they'll square this off completely. So there's 10,000 left. They'll put it back onto your left, square this back to 0, and then you just simply start again. So that will be your stronger side. You'll start building your weaker side again. What does that encourage you to do? That encourages you to help all the team members that you're bringing on board. It encourages you to build your weaker side. So it encourages you to help all the team members to build, and helps them to earn from the networking side. So that's your second type of bonus. Now, the third type of bonus is what we call a matching bonus. Now, matching bonus is what we call, this is what builds residual income. The most important thing, if you ever speak to anybody in network marketing, it's not consistently to make direct sales every single week, because that won't build a residual income for you. You want to build a residual income that will continue regardless of whether you take a week off or whether you don't. And the residual income comes from matching bonus. Now, how does that work? The matching bonus is simply if you help your team to make a network bonus. In other words, if the people that you've introduced and they've introduced, if they're earning a network bonus, which encourages you to work through the system with them and ensure that they're successful, then you'll receive a matching bonus based on their network bonus. So, for example, let me explain that. So let's say, for example, I introduce Yvonne, for example. She's my first generation, and Yvonne introduces Derek. So Derek will be my second generation. Derek introduces Rose. Rose will be my third generation. And then Rose introduces Leslie. Leslie will be my fourth generation. And that's where it ends. So a tycoon opens up all 4 generations on the network. If somebody has a trader, then it only goes down 1 generation of matching bonus. So here's an example. Let me take, for example, Yvonne. And let's say, for example, I'm working with Yvonne, or I'm not working with Yvonne regardless, but let's say she receives She's my first generation, and she receives a network bonus, not my network bonus, but she receives a network bonus of €1,000. So she's my first generation. So I would receive 10%, which would be €100. And of course, let's say Derek receives €1,000 network bonus. So if he's receiving network bonus, it means he's making money on the network. Then I would receive a 10% matching bonus. So 10% of 1,000, that would be €100. And let's say Rose is flying. Let's say she really takes this business and she's been working for a while and she earns, say, 2,000 on the network. Then look at that. I would receive a 20% matching bonus based on her network bonus. So 20% of that, if she's 2,000, that would be €400. And let's say, for example, Leslie, she's been working as well and she receives, say, €1,000. And she's my fourth generation down. I would receive 25%, which would be €250. So can you imagine, as you start to build a team, that let's say your team builds really, really quickly, you might have 50 people in the team, 30 people in the team, or 100 people in the team. And some of those will be receiving network bonuses you're helping them to build, and you'll receive a matching bonus. So I hope that explains that. It is pretty complicated at times, but you do get used to it as you see this more and more. We also have a leadership program. Now, a leadership program is really, really important, because the most important thing is to help anybody that's in the business, and especially people you've introduced, to be successful if they're involved in the business side. So that means you want these people hitting ranks like Sapphire, Ruby, Emerald, Diamond, Blue Diamond, right up to Crown Diamond. So for example, for Sapphire, there's various different things you receive. You receive a Sapphire pin. How do you get there? Well, it's based on volume and it's based on a structure. Same with Ruby as well. And there's various different things right up to Emerald. Once you get to Crown Diamond, then you can see your business volumes like something like 1.5 million a month. So there's many, many diamonds, emeralds, rubies, sapphires, blue diamonds, black diamonds within the company. And of course, Crown Diamond now, there's more and more people achieving this rank of Crown Diamond, which is, it's quite challenging to get to Crown Diamond. So let's move on. So let's talk about sometimes within the industry, and I'm coming close to the end just now, and I'm just going to take some questions. But let's talk about why is it, one of the things I said, it's important to consider this company right now. And it's also important to look at the industry, like any industry, and see, what's happening within a particular industry. Now, we know the industry of network marketing. That is the way they're marketing this particular company. That's why they've grown. That's why so many other cryptocurrency companies, they don't like Onecoin anyway, simply because it's come along out of nowhere and it's taken the industry by surprise. In terms of what it's done, everything it says it's going to do is delivered on. Even when companies say, well, that can't be done, that's not the way it works, but they've done it. They've gone ahead and done it anyway. So let's look at this. We've got guys like, when you look at the network marketing model, and you can go on this website, Business for Home, MLM Business for Home, it gives all the top earnings within the industry. Now, we have guys like Juha Paralea, who came from a company called Organo Gold. He was earning $250,000 a month. Pretty substantial. He now earns over 4 million a month with Onecoin. Then if you look at this chart, you'll see Onecoin is completely dominating this chart. We have the Steinkiller brothers, the founders of the One Dream Team, over 2 million a month. And if you go on the actual chart on the website, you'll see various different companies on this, but you'll see Onecoin dominating the chart. You can see number 1, number 2, number 6, number 8, number 10, number 15, 20. These are our upline sponsors in London, the two young guys from London, 27 and 23. Their income is now 400,000 a month. So the substantial incomes being made in terms of this industry. But when you see a whole lot of people, a whole lot of leaders within the industry leaving their existing organization and moving over, that tells you something, because these guys have been in the industry for a while, and with their connections, they're moving a lot of people. We have guys like Edward Hartley, who was formerly with Organo Gold. We have guys like David Imoniti. He's a sort of $5 million earner, again, moving over to Onelife and Onecoin. So when you see people like this moving over, it means there's a trend forming, and it means there's really, people are beginning to pay a lot of attention. In addition to that, we have various explosive growth we've gone through over the last few months. Got 300,000 members moved over from a particular company. 400,000 members from OPN. We have Univer team, 120,000 members, companies like BNG. So many companies around the world moving their whole teams across, looking at, obviously they do their due diligence and they decide, you know what, we want to move over, and they're moving massive teams over to this company. So what's the vision for the future? The vision for the future, as Dr. Ruja puts it, is 10 million users within the next 2 years and 1 million merchants. So that's shops, restaurants, hotels, that's facilities where you can use the coin. We've recently launched a merchant program, which is available in the back office, where people can start to bring on merchants right now. That's in phase 1. And this opportunity is really only in phase 1. The real momentum within this company will probably not start, certainly in the UK, will be next year at some point, because there's many people on the sidelines, many people watching. And the coin value, prediction of the coin value within the next 2 years is €25. This is one of the conventions in London. I was at this one. There was over 6,000 people at this, so it was an amazing. It was an international convention put on by Onecoin. The most recent one was in Thailand with over 10,000 people there, and there'll be a number of other ones coming on board. We also have regional and national events. National events in London. We have regional events all over the place. So for those of you that are in Scotland, we have a regional event coming up on the 20th and 21st of November. So I think certainly for guests, it's on the Sunday. I think that might be the 20th. I think it's the 21st, the Sunday, which is for guests. So you're welcome. Many of you are welcome to come along to that. Find out from the person that introduced you to this, and they'll give you the information. Come along, meet some people, talk to people, because it's important that you really speak to people that are already involved within the organisation. So it's great to see so many people on tonight. One of the things I'd like to do is, for those of you that have taken the time to come on tonight, really appreciate that. And I know that somebody's invited you on this tonight. Hopefully the person is on this webinar with you. If they're not, what I would ask you to do is I want you to contact the person that introduced you to this opportunity. And it's like anything else. I want you to leave tonight by taking something away, something that's not going to cost any money whatsoever. So it's going to be completely free. So thanks, Yvonne. It's Sunday the 20th of November in Glasgow. So I want you to really take something away from tonight. I want you to be able to go away and basically have a look around the system. The exact same account that we've all got, our exact same account. The only difference is it'll be a completely free account. So I want you to get back to the person and ask them, tell them you've been on this webinar. Hopefully they're on the webinar so they're listening. But if they're not, tell them that you're looking for the free link, a free link that will allow you to access the back office completely free, so that you can take a look around the back office. You can familiarize yourself with the account, how it works. You can see about the split process, the split barometer, and that will give you probably a better understanding, because there's a lot of information in there. You can access the news on the site, and it's like signing up and just getting a free Facebook account. Effectively, you don't need to pay anything. Many people think, when we talk about Facebook, for example, it's a fantastic platform and it's free. It's free until you want to use it commercially, because if you want to use Facebook commercially and advertise, then of course you need to pay for it. So I want you to familiarize yourself with the system, and then obviously if you've got any more questions, feel free to get back to the person that introduced you to this, or of course you can get back to myself. So yeah, just grab yourself that free back office, completely free, and make sure you have a better understanding, a good understanding. And I'll just open up now for anybody that's got any questions. If you've got any questions, I'll just take any questions that might come up. Okay, so yeah, so Ravi's just telling us here, I don't know if everyone, you can probably see that, but he's just saying that basically he did his homework. I spoke to Ravi at the beginning, and we had a few different presentations. It was actually a webinar like this that I first spoke to him. It was a webinar exactly like this with other people on it. And then we had a few follow-ups. It was probably a good another couple of times we spoke before he decided to come on board. So yeah, so it's interesting. He's also reminded me, there is a promotion on at the moment, by the way, and I talked about the split. The split is about to happen. The barometer in the back office is at 94%. That means it will happen probably next week sometime, maybe the following week, but it is imminent. What that means, if you come on board just now, you will benefit from that split. But not only that, because many people, when I first came on board, people were saying to me, the split's going to happen, the split's going to happen. And I was like, what is the split? It's like, it's not important to me. I'm not bothered about the split. And it's because I didn't really understand the split fully. But basically this time there is a promotion and it's going to be a super split. So it means the first split that you get will be a double split. So that means, for example, on a tycoon, your tokens will go from 60,000, they'll split to 120, they'll split to 240 on the first split, and then you still have another two splits. If somebody's on a lower package, let's say it's 10,000, it means that your tokens will go from 10,000 to 20,000 to 40,000 on the first split, and you still have another split. So it effectively means you're going to end up with a lot more coins. So it's really, really important that you understand that. But again, speak to the person that introduced you to this, and they can give you a better understanding. Yeah, so Ravi, again, he's given us some information about his bonuses. I mean, I know he's been speaking to a lot of people in Canada, and he's brought a lot of people on. So fantastic. So yeah, yes. If anybody's got any questions or any contributions, yeah, just feel free to ask any questions. I'll stay on this for just a few more minutes, and I'll take it from there. In fact, I could actually, we do have some members on tonight. So some of the members, if you want to say a few words, just let me know in terms of your experience and where you are today, where you're going, why you got involved. Because sometimes it's important sometimes that we hear from some of the members as well. So yeah, thank you, Rose. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And again, if you've got any questions that you need answered, just just let me know, or get back to whoever invited you on. So I'm just going to wait a few more minutes just to see if anybody has got any questions. Yeah, sometimes it takes a while, Sonia, just for everything to sink in. You wake up tomorrow morning and your mind will be a lot clearer. But there is a lot of information that I've given tonight. So yeah, of course, just take your time, and if you've got any questions, feel free to get in touch.